How'd you get from that to Boiler Room?
Boiler Room. Boiler Room. So I started working at Sounds Universe. I started doing warehouse parties in East London.
Mm-hmm.
I also started doing my own kind of podcast online, which was relatively popular considering I wasn't, like, nobody knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And Blaze Belleville, he was running a magazine, an online magazine called Platform magazine at the time, and I think he noticed that I was doing warehouse parties. They were quite popular, quite fun, slightly notorious for people nicking mixers and stuff like that. And he just wanted me to do a mix, basically. Like, he was like, "Oh, do you want to do a mix? I've got this space." Like, he'd just taken over like a warehouse space in Hackney. Mm-hmm. So he was like, "I've got a space, people can come up and do mixes," and he just wanted to do something with it. And I've been messing around with Ustream. I think he'd been messing around with it as well. I was a bit like, because I wasn't necessarily, I'm still not, the best DJ technically, doing like studio mixes and that kind of thing, I just found quite intimidating. It would take me, and it still does, take me about 3 months to do a mix, just because it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. Getting up in a club and like mixing and all that kind of stuff is like, yeah, cool. But then when it's actually recorded and warts and all,
yeah,
and it's not just people just going jumping around, it's quite. So, but I basically just, I do now as well. I feel more comfortable DJing in a live kind of environment.
yeah.
I obviously had aspirations for radio and all that kind of stuff through working with Giles. So we were just like, let's put it on Ustream. Like, we can do it off a laptop. It's easy. There was no reason not to. And yeah, we just found it fun after the first one. It was me. It's always funny how these things work out, because you look back and, like, at the time it was me, Femi, who started NTS Radio, Sampha, from Sampha and Subtracts and all that stuff. He was like there just hanging out, and Tick Zogson, who's A&R at Young Turks, XL, discovered Adele, is currently A&Ring Twigs, did all the XX stuff, and this was before, this is after that moment, he was working at XL, but you look at it, it's like 5 people in the room, and you're looking like, what? It's like, people have kind of gone on to do their thing, and it was amazing to basically get an immediate reaction from people. You put it up on Facebook or Twitter,
Yeah.
and people would just react. These were like our mates, like, who lived like around the corner or whatever. It was just quite liberating, like, as much as I love DJing, there was also a point where it was like, you have to get up and perform and play the bangers and get people to dance and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, as a music lover, I love jazz records that you fall asleep to, or, just kind of spiritual dub or what have you. And it's just the opportunity to kind of play that with an audience, but then it's not an audience that's kind of milling around or feels a bit agitated or itchy.
Do you have to entertain them?
No, not really.
Just educate in a way, not educate.
Yeah, or just share.
Yeah.
Sharing the bits that you love as well. And it felt nice, really. And so we did it the next week. I remember we sat down and had the conversation about, what's everybody's objectives, like, if we're going to, like, I'm that kind of person, like, it's like, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessary that we'll make it, like, particularly official, but, we put our energy into it. And, not all of the eggs, but, there's no point in doing it unless you're actually going to work on it, I feel. It's just a waste of time. So that was it, really. It was kind of like, let's do it every week. I had a whole heap of contacts from working with Giles. Femi had a bunch of contacts because he works for Plastic People. And so we just invited people down. And it just worked. We had Jamie XX come down before he was Jamie XX or whatever. I
Yeah.
think that was the first time he was called
And is
Jamie
it still
XX.
going out through Platform magazine?
Yeah, it was basically a blog post.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a blog post for like 3-4 months. No, it was a blog post for like a good 9 months. We didn't have a website for about a year. We didn't have a Facebook for about a year. It was literally kind of, it was, you know, we just found that people were watching.
Yeah.
And the more and more people watched, we realised that, you know, wanted to make it more engaging, digestible. Realised that, you know, there is actually information and whatever being spread. So it's kind of then presenting it in a way in which people can get as much information out of it as possible. You know, there were brand new tunes being played, exclusives,
Yeah.
what have you. So it was kind of like, I don't know, trying to package it a little bit so that it was more digestible.
Yeah.
Which then I suppose makes it more profitable because then, you know, you
Yeah.
can then, it then becomes a package, you know. And so that's where like DJs doing 45-minute sets came from. DJs with their back to the crowd was
Yeah.
literally because it was a table and the laptop was on the table facing the rest of the room, you know. But then, you know, incidentally that created a slightly different dynamic for DJs to play in because you're not watching the crowd and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was pretty organic, but at the same time, you know, we weren't just sitting there like, oh yeah, like, whatever. Like, you know, it was like, oh, that works.